Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Clutter Boss, the internet's best and only decluttering advice show. I am Jes Marcy. I am your clutter boss for today. As always, any liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing to our channels, it all helps our small business so much. So thank you for everything that you can do to help keep this content available and free by sharing us across social medias and subscribing to our content and all of that stuff. Okay, without further ado, I am excited to dive into today's questions. There are some great questions. Maybe because it's tax season, we have a lot of questions generally about paper. So we're definitely going to talk about paper. We're also going to cover how to take action. Can you touch on self-care and the process of decluttering? I sure can. I'm very excited to do that. Question number one, a couple of questions about paperwork. So I will just kind of consolidate these into one answer, but let me go through the questions right quick. I have a habit of hoarding papers and I have a hard time letting them go. I find it especially hard because I do not trust other sites to keep my information. For example, doctor's offices or IRS records. All of the information can be on their sites, but do I trust it will always be available? My kids' school records feel hard to let go of because now they're in their 20s. Any guidance would be appreciated. And then another question, I have a lot of paperwork, but I'm not sure what needs to be kept for taxes and so forth. And another question, I'm behind on getting my taxes done. How can I create a system for this to not happen in the future? Okay, so let's talk about letting go of paperwork. When we're talking about paperwork, it's important to remember that we were taught to hang on to every sheet of paper because back in the day, before electronic records, there was only one copy of a record. It was a sheet of paper. That is not the case anymore. It is so not the case anymore. There are so many copies of records, electronic and digital copies, and printed copies. However, it can be hard to trust technology. So I think that you have to find a happy medium for yourself, knowing that what you learned when it comes to papers, you learned a lesson that came about because there were only paper records. There was nothing else. So it's not relevant for today, but that transition to what was and what is needs to be done in a way that makes you feel confident and comfortable. When we're talking about letting go of paperwork, I want you to get really clear on what you actually need. Sometimes this means talking to a professional, a tax professional, your accountant, talking to your doctor, getting some advice from somebody who you trust and who knows your situation, right? So I can't give a blanket statement for all paperwork because your circumstances are different from my circumstances. You live in another state, you have a different profession, you have a different medical history. Who can give you those answers? It's really find that person that you trust to give you the answers about how much and what you actually need to keep and for how long. That way, and write it down. So give yourself a guide to my own paperwork. This is what I need to keep for sure and for how long. And then when you're going through your papers, you can look at this and say, okay, it's from 2003. It's relevant to my taxes. And my tax professional said, I only need to keep 3 years or 7 years of my tax papers. Those are the two numbers that tend to come up a lot. So this does not, it doesn't fit this criteria. I can let it go. Make criteria for yourself for paperwork that makes sense to you. When it comes to digital records, you can go onto different sites and download your digital records and keep a duplicate copy of them if you want to. If that would make you feel better and be able to let go of the paper, keeping, knowing that there's a digital record and then a duplicate digital record that you have, that might be a good bridge. I will say, I think that most people keep way too much paper, like an exorbitant amount of paper that we do not need. So as you're going through your paperwork, just really be honest with yourself. Am I actually going to need this? And if I need this information, am I going to be able to find it? And if I can't find it, what am I going to do? What's my worst case scenario? Can I get a duplicate record of this someplace else or in multiple cases? A lot of times, if I have a digital file that I want to keep, I email it to myself with a good description in my email subject line. That way, it's searchable in my own personal email. So if I need insurance document or whatever it is, I download it, I attach it to an email, I email it to myself, clearly labeled because I electronic records, the best ones are searchable. So I hope that's helpful. And when it comes to, there was a secondary question here. Well, there was a couple of actually secondary questions. My kids' records. If your kids are adults and they are out of school, their records are memorabilia. You don't need them for anything. So if you have records like your kids' grades, report cards, schoolwork, and they're in their 20s, it's really memorabilia. And you just need to decide, is this memorabilia that I want to keep? Talk to your children. Do they want any of it? But don't look at it as a record for the sake of it being a record that you need to reference. Look at it as memorabilia because that's what it is. So I clearly identify what the paperwork is, and then that can help you move forward also. The question about taxes. Okay, so it is tax season. If you're feeling overwhelmed by your taxes, this is your opportunity to get on top of next year's taxes. As you go through this process of pulling together the different papers that you need, write yourself a guide to your yearly taxes. Okay, write down, these are the things I need. This is where I'm putting them. And every single month, put an alarm on your phone and say, go look at my taxes and do it. Go look at the papers that you need, pull them, file them so that when tax season comes around next year, you're all ready to go. So use this experience this year to guide and improve your experience next year. It doesn't have to be like this every year. You can totally make a difference in your tax preparation experience. So write down what you need this year, write down where you're going to get it, give yourself a procedure to follow. This is building a system. And all systems require maintenance. The maintenance for this system is to look at it every single month consistently, 12 times a year. Look at your system, do what you need to do. It's pretty simple if you make your system. And then next year, when tax season comes around, if you miss something, you can improve your system. But that's how systems work. You create them and then you maintain them. If you create a system and then never use it, you've not done anything. So we have to use the systems that we create. We have to maintain the systems that we create. We need feedback loops in our systems. We need to improve them. It might not be fun, but your future self is definitely going to thank you for getting on top of it right now. I have been reading and watching posts, but I am not taking any action. Help. Okay. If you find yourself writing a message like this, what I want you to do is take the time that you're spending writing the message, which is maybe 5 minutes, set a timer and do anything for 5 minutes. Anything. Is it dishes? Is it folding laundry? Is it finding 5 things that you can let go of? Take the smallest amount of action as frequently as you can. So if you're writing, I'm watching and reading posts, but no action, that is a trigger for you. Go take action. Spend an equal amount of time taking action as you are writing about not taking action. We tend to think that we need to take enormous amounts of action to see change, but really, we need to take small, consistent action to bring us motivation to continue to move forward. You will see change after 5 minutes every single day, but you got to do those 5 minutes. So take action. Just if you're listening to this right now, and you want to take action on something, pause this video, set a timer for 5 minutes, and go and take action right now. 5 minutes is all that it takes to start to bring that motivation and to see the change that you want to see. Nobody can do this but you. So you can listen and learn and absorb for endless amounts of time, but nobody can take the action except for you, and you can do it. You can do it. I know that initial, like the initial taking action is the hardest one. And it seems like the next time that you take action, it's also hard. And the next time it's also hard, but it's actually getting incrementally easier every single time. You are changing those neural pathways. You are changing the way that your body reacts to your environment. You are changing your physical environment, but you have to take action. You have to do it. And you can do it. You absolutely can do this. Set your timer for 5 minutes. Go do anything. Tackle the pile of papers that are on the table. Go through your mail. Remove some stuff from your car. If it's a nice day, go outside and clean out your car for 5 minutes. Just challenge yourself. Think of it as, how much can I possibly get done in 5 minutes? Not, I only have 5 minutes, I can't do anything. How much can I possibly get done in 5 minutes? This is a secret to success, but you have to do it. That's the key. You have to actually do it. So tell somebody, find that accountability, and go do it. I know you can. I know you can. You're going to feel awesome afterwards, also, which is so nice. Another great question that came in that we haven't talked about, I don't think, in a long time on Ask a Clutter Boss is, can you touch a little on self care during the process of decluttering? I have had a lot of changes in my point of view about self care. I once read something, and I found it again to answer this question, that really impacted me. It's written by Brianna Wiest, who is an author. Um, it was shared like as a meme kind of on social media. It really meant a lot to me. And I'm going to read it in a second. It's kind of long, but it's worth listening to. I think we need to really clarify our goal when it comes to self care. Self care is one of those words that we hear a lot right now. But what does it actually mean? And I think that there's a difference between self care and de stressing. I think we tend to mix them up. So when we're engaging in activities that help us manage our stress, we look at that as self care. But self care is actually so much bigger than de stressing. De stressing is important. I think it has its place. Should be going on a walk every day, relaxing, clearing your mind, turning off your notifications, spending a little bit of time just unwinding, but that's de-stressing. And self-care, I'm going to go ahead and read this somewhat lengthy thing from Brianna Wiest. Okay. Self-care is often a very unbeautiful thing. It is making a spreadsheet of your debt and enforcing a morning routine and cooking yourself healthy meals and no longer just running from your problems and calling the distraction a solution. I think this is kind of the key part. Distraction helps with de stressing, but true self care helps to move you forward in your life. It is often doing the ugliest thing you have to do, like sweat through another workout, or tell a toxic friend you don't want to see them anymore, or get a second job so you can have a savings account, or figure out a way to accept yourself so that you're not constantly exhausted from trying to be everything all the time, and then needing to take deliberate, mandated breaks from living to do basic things like drop some oil in a bath and read Marie Claire and turn off your phone for the day. A world in which self care has to be such a trendy topic is a world that is sick. Self care should not be something we resort to because we are so absolutely exhausted that we need some reprieve from our own relentless internal pressure. True self care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It is making the choice to build a life that you don't regularly need to escape from. I'm going to say that line again because I think that's the most impactful line here. True self care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It is making the choice to build a life that you don't need to regularly escape from. That line has impacted me so much. Um, and that often takes doing the things you least want to do. It often means looking at your failures and disappointments square in the eye and re strategizing. It's not satisfying your immediate desires. It is letting go. It is choosing new. It is disappointing some people. It is making sacrifices for others. It is living a way that other people won't, so maybe you can live in a way that other people can't. It is letting yourself be normal, regular, unexceptional. It is sometimes having a dirty kitchen and deciding your ultimate goal in life isn't going to be having abs and keeping up with your fake friends. It is deciding how much of your anxiety comes from not actualizing your latent potential and how much comes from the way you are being trained to think before you even knew what was happening. If you find yourself having to regularly indulge in consumer self care, it's because you're disconnected from actual self care, which has very little to do with treating yourself and a whole lot to do with parenting yourself and making choices for your long term wellness. It is no longer using your hectic and unreasonable life as a justification for self sabotage in the form of liquor or procrastination. It is learning how to stop trying to fix yourself and start trying to take care of yourself. And maybe finding that taking care lovingly attends to a lot of problems that you were trying to fix in the first place. It means being the hero of your own life and not the victim. It means rewiring what you have until your everyday life isn't something you need therapy to recover from. It is no longer choosing a life that looks good over a life that feels good. It is giving the hell up on some goals so you can care about others. It is being honest, even if that means you aren't universally liked. It is meeting your own needs so that you aren't anxious and dependent on other people. It is becoming the person you know you want to be and are meant to be, someone who knows that salt baths and chocolate cakes are ways to enjoy life, not to escape from it. Again, this is written by Brianna Wiest, Wiest. I can share the link in the comments after this. I can't post into the comments right now. This came across my social media feed a few years ago, and I have repeatedly referred back to this because I feel like it is the best description of what self-care actually looks like. When you're decluttering, you are engaging in a self-care activity. You are, I'll go back to the line that I love so much. Um, you are making a choice to live a life that you don't regularly need to escape from. I love, love, love that line. So when you're decluttering, I think you are engaging in self care. And if you need to de stress during the decluttering process, which makes a lot of sense, then find a way to de stress that feels really good for you, right? Maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's taking a bath. That's de stressing. The self care is the decluttering. So I hope that that landed as well as it did when I first read it. It's very powerful. I will do everything I can to link to it and also tag the author in the replay of this. But when we think about self care and decluttering, that those are my thoughts. The decluttering is the self care. You're building a life for yourself that you don't need to regularly escape from, and that is incredible. And anything that you need to do to de stress along the way, go for it. So let me dive into our last segment, which is 5 items that you can declutter right now. Okay, 5 items that you can declutter right now. Your 5 items. And by the way, thank you to the person who posted the yellow thing that they decluttered last week. I loved seeing that. When you declutter these 5 items, feel free to go into our free Facebook community, It's All Clutter, and post a picture or a note of the 5 items that you decluttered. Here we go. Item number 1, something that starts with the letter R. Something that starts with the letter R. Item number 1. Item number 2, something that ends with the letter R. Something that ends with the letter R. Item number 3 that you can declutter right now, something that you find at the back of your cabinet, any cabinet. So something found at the back of a cabinet. So pick a cabinet, go to the back of it, declutter something back there that you no longer need. Item number 4, unused hair products or styling tools. So item number 4 is unused hair products or styling tools. And item number 5 is to dive into the glasses that you have, mugs and glasses, your mug and glass collection, and declutter any that are excess to your life. I find that we tend to have an exorbitant amount of mugs and glasses in our kitchens, and we don't need that many. So that's one category to dive into and declutter excess from your mugs or your glasses. All right, so 5 items to declutter right now. Something that starts with R, the letter R, something that ends with the letter R, something you find in the back of a cabinet, unused hair products or styling tools, and mugs or glasses that are excess to your life right now. That is the end of our Ask Jes segment. I hope that you found this as powerful as I did, especially the part about self care. If you're doing your taxes, remember, make yourself a system that you can follow for next year so that next year is easier than this year. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and do all those things. We so appreciate it. I will see you same time, same place next week. Have a great day. And remember, you are a clutter boss. You are a clutter boss, and it is time to prioritize your sanity.